Hey everyone, welcome to the Sustain the Range podcast. I'm Lauren, your host, and this podcast is a personal exploration of my experiences in everything ranching. From beef operations to training horses to sustainable farming and regenerative practices, we'll cover it all. Each episode features enlightening conversations with guests who bring their unique perspectives and expertise. Whether they're seasoned ranchers or first-generation farmers, we all share a common bond and deep appreciation for the land and the livestock we raise. Tune in each week for engaging discussions, inspiring stories, and practical insights from the ranching community, and let's embark on this incredible journey together. And welcome to another episode of Sustain the Range. This episode has been a long time coming. I actually talked with Halee over the winter time, and I took a break from the podcast for a few months, and I had some kind of technical difficulties with this episode, but finally I was able to retrieve all of it and edit it and get this out to you guys. So I interviewed Halee Statskivige on this one, and it was such an amazing conversation. It was so great to be able to talk to her and all of the really cool things that she's doing. She is a women's bronc rider, and when we talked, she was going to work with a cutting trainer, Gary Cooper, over the summer, over the winter time and the spring. And then since we've talked, I know that Halee has been in several rodeos over the summer. She competed in the Cheyenne Frontier Days Women's Ranch Bronc Championships and did really, really well. And it was just such an awesome conversation to talk to her about all of the cool things she's done and kind of her goals and her background and her story and where she wants to go. And we talk about all things Western industry, we talk about finances and mindset and so much more. So I hope you guys enjoy this conversation, and here goes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Halee, for joining me on the podcast today. I'm super excited to talk to you. And I know our listeners are going to really love this conversation and know that they're going to really be interested in you and your background and your story and all of the really cool stuff that you're doing. So Halee, welcome to Sustain the Range podcast.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here and visit with you. Been listening to your podcast and just love the authenticity and all of the guests you've had on. So I'm super honored.
Oh, well, thank you. That really means a lot. I appreciate that so much. It's definitely been really fun. I've met some really incredible people through it. So it's been really fun to do. So yeah, I figured we could just kind of start off with you giving a little introduction about yourself and tell us a little bit about, where you grew up, how you grew up, if you'd like to share a little bit about your family and just kind of tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, you bet. So I grew up in a little town, Northwood, North Dakota. I'm the youngest of three. We're all 2 years apart. I got a brother, Tyler, and then my older sister is 4 years older than me. She passed away, unfortunately, a few years ago, but then my mom and my dad, who are still on the farm in Northwood. We had cattle, probably anything from 40 to 80 head at a time, cow-calf operation, which was super fun for me, just being a farm kid growing up, bottle calves. We had some horses that I basically call it backyard riding. We just rode around the yard or down the gravel road since all the fields were planted, because we lived in that type of country, but super fun for me. My mom grew up with horses, so I get my love of that from her. And then my dad was grew up in town of Grand Forks, played hockey, outdoorsman, taught us to hunt, fishing once in a while and stuff like that. Nice. It was super fun. Yeah. We all played a lot of sports as a kid, which from a small town, you get to be on every team and play a lot. So that was pretty fun. I only graduated with 9 kids in my class. Northwood is full of a bunch of little towns. So we actually have to combine 2 towns to make one sports team. So we were at Northwood Thunder and we'd travel around. And yeah, cool. It was, but Yeah, so loved sports, got to play a lot, got a lot of opportunities to get better at it. Um, Ended up going to Bemidji State to play volleyball, and I just walked on. Like I went and visited with the coach. He said, "Yeah, come on." Ended up getting a small scholarship there and played a little volleyball. So I was out of horses, ranching for a long time. Especially Bemidji doesn't have a whole lot of like when you go to class, everyone's kind of dressed up in camo, hunting, very outdoorsy, but there wasn't like a whole lot of cowboy hats on campus. So I fell in love with like mountain biking, mountaineering, worked for the outdoor program, learned how to sail, all sorts of really cool stuff, which made me fall in love with the outdoors in another way. So eventually, after getting a little bit of job experience in North Dakota, I had to come out to Montana, of course, like
Totally.
everybody else. They're like, why do you move to Montana? I'm like, honestly, it's a straight shot on the highway until you hit Bozeman. There's a lot of young people here. There's a really fun job opportunities, whether it's in the outdoors, ranching, ski industry, whatever. So there's just a lot of stuff here for me. So I came
Yeah.
out this way. My first job was a marketing assistant for Montucky Cold Snacks. It was a beer company based in Bozeman, Montana area. And it was just like super fun marketing. I got to dip my hands in like a bunch of stuff, whether it was like graphic design or events planning. What else did we do? We got to go to like Austin, Texas and kind of do like promotional stuff.
Nice.
So that was super fun. Um, yeah, I feel like it's just very linear background. But then COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like during this time when I was in Bozeman, I know horses, trying to figure out how to have horses. I think I visited Dillon, Montana at one point. I was like, all right, I'm going to get 2 years and then get reciprocity and go to the school in Dillon, Montana for a degree in horsemanship, which I didn't end up doing, but that school was really cool.
Yeah. Beautiful area too. My gosh. I love Dylan.
Yeah, it is beautiful. I would go there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, loved it. And then, so during this time, I'm like working in marketing and in the office. I'm always having like my toe in the water of horses. So, started doing sleigh rides in town here for like during the winter, Christmas time. Not a lot of tourists. Most of them were local, but basically sleigh rides at night, taking people, reading them a Christmas story, coming back, learning how to drive a team, which was super cool. And then, so when COVID hit, I got laid off from Montucky. Really sad. I still have like a big heart for them because Chad and Jeremy are the owners and they just really cared about their employees and stuff. So it was kind of sad, but ultimately really good to move on. I got to kind of get back into horses that way. I went and worked for Canyon Adventures in Big Sky, just taking tourists on horseback rides during that time. Honestly, really nice, really good time to reflect and good time to just keep making money. And I genuinely like taking people on horseback rides that have never been around horses before. Like, I know some people get a little jaded at the end of the season. I still love it. I love sharing that with people.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And then when things started kicking up again, I applied and became the marketing manager at Willie's Distillery in Ennis, Montana.
Oh, yeah. Heard of that place.
That's actually where I met Jeremiah, who founded.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where I've seen him or them share some stuff, maybe.
Yeah. This is when I'm going to, like, if I start mentioning names, I think people are going to be like, oh, I know that person, or I see that in there. Yeah. I was a marketing manager for Willie's, and Willie Glazer is a real man. Like, he's was a special forces medic. So, I mean, that might have been like one of the coolest parts of that job was reading up on World War II, military history, learning more about that, which I used to be super intimidated by. Like, I don't know how to say thank you. I don't know how to say thank you for your service. Now I'm just a little bit more at ease about it.
Yeah.
You know, all these special forces guys, they're like tattooed, intimidating, like big, like, no, like Jeremiah, right? Like, but just total sweethearts.
What did you, if you don't mind me asking, because I feel like I've always felt I came from from like a military family too, but like my dad and I have cousins and whatnot in the military, but what did you find is the best way to like to somebody that you don't know? Like what did you find is the best way to like say thank you or because I feel like that's a common question that I hear people say, especially if they didn't have like military family or whatever,
Yeah.
especially with like those guys. That's some pretty serious
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh God, don't ask me. I would say I think it depends on the individual. I think
Okay.
it really does. So when you're like, because a lot of them came through the tasting room and you get to visit with them and it's incredible. And I find that most are really open. I'm thinking of a couple in particular that I had these types of conversations with. They like you to ask.
Yeah.
Um, so what was it like? I mean, in a non-intrusive, open-ended question way.
Sure.
If you're, I know that's not like saying thank you, but I think some of them, I think it depends on where it's coming from in your heart. Like
Mhm.
you can genuinely read on someone's just saying like I think some of them might take it as a corny thank you for your service and are kind of like, yeah, whatever. I don't like that. I don't like getting that. Some of them are too humble to accept it. But I mean, there's a lot of different, I mean, say it anyway. I
Yeah.
guess at the end of the day, say it anyway. Even if you make them a little uncomfortable, I think it's important to
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, and totally. I mean, I agree. Like even just like the genuineness behind it carries a lot of weight, or just being like more like inquisitive, asking questions in a way that you're kind of like reading the room with the person.
yeah.
So okay, cool. That's yeah, I just wanted a random question, but that's really cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
But at the end of the day, message Jeremiah and ask him what he thinks.
okay. Well, yeah, I would love to have him on. I feel like I've been following on Instagram and I don't know him at all, but I just think his stuff and what he's doing with War Party Ranch is like really incredible. So,
Oh, you'll love
um
talking to him. Ask
yeah,
him.
cool.
Micah.
So yeah, sorry I cut you off, but
Yeah, no, go ahead. No, yeah, conversation makes it easier for me because I feel like I start talking. I'm like, this is too much. But
no, you're great. As more is better. So
yeah, yeah. So at Willie's Distillery, yeah. So I got to meet Jeremiah, a lot of badasses to say the least. Willie's a badass, and that was super fun. And but I was driving from Bozeman to Ennis a lot, and at the end of the day, I didn't think I was gonna move to Ennis. And I was missing horses a lot. So it was time to kind of like, and I was feeling good about everything. I ended up buying my condo in Bozeman from my landlord, which was so lucky. I mean, I did kind of have that thought in the back of my mind when I rented from him, asked him if I could buy it, bought it, and that really changed everything for me. Because this whole time after college, I'm just chasing like stability and financial security because the ranching world is not that. Like,
Mhm. Right.
what did they say? I mean, it's not just poking fun at ranchers, but it's like, yeah, it is a grind. And
Yeah.
so I really wanted a plan B. And I always put the horses off because I'm like, okay, horses are going to be my lifelong, that's going to be there forever. And that's what I'm going to pursue last because that's what's going to be in my life forever. So things like college volleyball, snowboarding, get that in now because I'm going to one day focus on horses and cows and things like that. And that's going to be everything. So I kind of got to that point after I bought the condo where I'm like, I'm not going to get kicked out of here. I can focus. Like, because Bozeman, like many other places, cost of living crisis, housing crisis. I was getting kicked out of a place every couple of years with rent going up $200 a month really quickly. Then we got to move on, go to the next place. So
Yeah.
this kind of made everything a lot more relaxing, and I could have goals and stability and things like that. Like, yeah, it's expensive, but I'm good at grinding. I'm good at making that side cash and stuff like that. So I was okay. That's when I was sat down with Willie. I think I'm moving on. I'm going to go do some horse stuff. came to Bozeman and found a job working for a tack company. So that was really nice. Just an hourly, simple job. And I was able to focus on more horse stuff because I was in the horse industry now. So I started attending clinics. My horse Mac came back with me. I finally had time to bring a horse into Bozeman, started boarding him, had time for him because I wasn't driving so much. And marketing was kind of a lifestyle job where you're thinking about it all the time, posting on social media. Started attending clinics. And that's kind of where I found, as I started to pick and look and find things, that's when I found Brittany Miller's clinic online and social media. I was like, I'm going to do this. I don't know what I'm doing, but like, there's something like really compelling about it where I was like, no, should I do this? Not should it? No, I get hurt. Just signed right up for it. And I didn't even know when I thought of rough stock, all I could think was like, what's happening now is like the NFR in Vegas. Like all I thought was it's giant, huge Broncs and these amazing people that have been doing this their whole life. I didn't really realize that there's another level to it. And that it's actually, I don't want to call it no barrier to entry because I know I'm pretty fortunate to be in an area where there's a lot of opportunities to get into it. So, but the barrier to entry is relatively low. So if you want to be a roper or a barrel racer, you got to have the truck, you got to have the trailer, you got to have the horse. And then it's just crazy. With rope stock, it's kind of like, well, what saddle do I need? Throw it in the car, go and, give it your best. So that was really appealing. So did that, went to Brittany's school, was completely hooked. I was like, yeah, I'm addicted to this. This is for me. And I just kept looking for opportunities to go. And Brittany Miller at that time was the shoot boss, or whatever, up in Big Sky. So Leland McMillan every Tuesday has a rodeo up at Lone Mountain Ranch, kind of for the guests and the tourists up there. And so I have an opportunity to go up there. Brittany's there. I could get on Broncs every Tuesday. I felt safe because she was there. She was always checking my gear. And then when she moved on, I was eventually like confident in myself to go to rodeos by myself. So like that was like super fortunate because she was only a few hours down the road at a clinic where I went and saw her. And then she was only an hour away from me on a regular basis. So super fortunate. And then just kept going. Then I was just addicted, like online looking for any rodeo, any ranch bronc riding, stuff like that. She taught me to call the contractor and like, to kind of ask about the Broncs, but still it's kind of like you sign up for a rodeo, you don't know the people. It's like pretty scary. You're like, what am I getting on? Like my emotional support coach isn't there, but you get a few of those under your belt and you learn how to talk to contractors and things like that. And it just took off from there and I just kept entering. Finally entered the WRBC, which I think we got our New Year's Eve Bronc. What is it called? I forgot the name of the event specifically, but in Watford City, North Dakota, we have the New Year's Eve event, which was my first one. So almost a year ago, I started with them. And that has been amazing too, because they have opportunities for us. I think one girl, Meg, she called it a hack because like we get to, come in our first year or maybe, just a few years in and ride at Cheyenne Frontier Days, which is something people work their life to get into. And we get to show our skills there if you make it to Worlds, of course, but stuff like that. Yeah. So now it's just all that good stuff. And I'm still pursuing horsemanship. So I'm going to go work for Gary Cooper in Cody, Wyoming, because learning how to train has been like the end goal since I was like little. And, I'd worked on some dude ranches and stuff like that, but I never felt comfortable taking a job with a trainer I didn't know. So Gary Cooper is someone I met at a horsemanship cutting clinic, and I took an online course with him. And it's like, what are you doing here? Like, because he's pretty well respected and pretty successful at what he does. And he's still taking courses and going to clinics himself. So that's pretty cool. So within that niche, I found people who really like to learn. They learn in a certain way. So I really kind of honed in on him and tried to get a job with him. And it worked out. So
nice.
That's good.
That's awesome.
That's where I'm at now. And I'm packing up my apartment right now and getting ready to rent that and go work for him. And maybe after that, go help my parents a little bit in North Dakota. So mom and dad raised cattle for a long time, but my mom is also kind of a late starter. She recently, and I think some of it had to do with my sister passing away, but they got rid of the cows and now they're buying well-bred working cow horse mares. So she's starting a brand new career at 70. So
wow, that's amazing.
I know, right? Oh, they got some pretty cool horses. So that is even a bigger motivator for me to like, okay, they got things going. I want to go help them. I want to be a part of it. So I better go learn from Gary so that I can help my mom. I can help her with social media stuff and website stuff easy. Sure. But like, I don't know how to ride these things and I don't know how to train yet. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so cool, Halee. Like, wow, what a cool journey. Thank you for sharing all that. I absolutely love all of that stuff. And, we'll kind of talk a little bit. You brought up some like really good topics. But you have like really had like this kind of journey of, growing up in it and then being out of it for a while and then coming back into it. And one of the things that I really like to ask people, whether they grew up in it or whether they didn't, is the barrier to entry and kind of like what you were talking about of different barriers of entry to this world. And for people that really didn't grow up in it, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky and also like little bit tough at times, right? Or just not even that. It's also like, and I know for me, when I first kind of started, it was didn't know the right questions to ask, or it can be like super intimidating. So I love even just your story about how you were talking about just going to the Bronc stuff, seeing it, and then being okay, I'm just gonna like do this, and like you were just jumped into it. And I just think that is so cool because I feel like there's a lot of times when we can talk ourselves out of things before we even start, or even we'll think, oh, this would be so cool to do, and then it's like, well, there's all these things, and then you talk yourself out before you even like step into the room, Yeah. So like tell us a little bit about like I'd love to know kind of your mindset about that. You had obviously some background in the Western industry, but even just like, okay, riding a bronc is not like you're just jumping on like any old trail horse here. So tell us like a little bit about what your thoughts were behind that before you even started, and then like kind of what it was like for you in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah. It's funny that you mentioned talking yourself out of stuff before you start. So and you might find this maybe counterintuitive. Bronc riding and then like performance horses are just so different to me. And when you said something about talking yourself out, as I'm packing, I'm going through my old notebooks, I'm looking through my old horse books. I have scholarship applications half written. I have the Legacy of Legends application half written, and I was just too scared to send it. Like I wrote these when I was like 20. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, did I never send those? I don't know. I was just like too scared, didn't think I was going to make it anyway. Like was overthinking it, didn't think it was good enough to send. But then with the Broncs, I was like, I'm athletic, I could do this. And I just went. So I don't know what's going on with me there, where one, I feel like it's easy to try, and the other one terrified me for so long. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think Brittany says this too, bronc riding does something for your confidence. So just doing that has skyrocketed my ability to think I can do this. It definitely has physically made me a better rider, and I'm more confident and less scared on my saddle horses now. I feel like I can slow down my heart rate and be there for my horse who might be a little more uncomfortable, rather than like, oh God, what is he going to do? Is he uncomfortable? What's his next move? Mm-hmm. So there's that. But I think I got off on your question a little bit, but I did get excited. Like that imposter syndrome, talking your stuff out of it, and just like, I wish I just would have sent it. Yeah. Sent it in. it's weird when it comes to like, I don't know if it's my background or do I know enough when it comes to well-trained horses. But then there's this side of me when it's just physical athletic ability that I'm not really that scared to mess up. I'm not that scared to look stupid, which as like I'm obsessed with this book I'll tell you about later, but there's this part in it. One of the tips is like don't be scared to look stupid. And they're like, well, that's good advice. I'm like, yeah, I get that. Like I feel that. Like I'm not scared to look dumb, getting bucked off. Or, you know, like if I'm snowboarding, I'm not scared to fall down. But I am scared to get on a horse and then trying to start ride it. And people are watching me and being like, oh, your hands aren't quite where they should be. Or, oh, you're not sitting up enough. I don't know why that bothers me so much. But so I don't know, but I got that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was just as you were talking, I just had wrote a note to myself because when you had mentioned like you are confident in physical ability, but then, you know, the other areas of like not finishing the application or kind of like putting yourself out there. And I relate to that so much because, you know, I grew up playing sports too. And like through college and everything as well. And like the physical stuff is so much easier for me to feel confident and get around. But when it comes to like putting myself out there for things or yeah, like going to apply to something where I know like all of these people have this like long list of accomplishments and I don't even like come close. It's like, so I feel like the physical part is so much easier at times than it is like the emotional putting yourself out there, like open yourself up to judgment and things like that, where it's like, just don't care what people think. And like, while that's really good, like if we're all being honest, like at some point we kind of do care what people think of us, right? And we really try to like not let that affect us, obviously. But you know, if we're being honest, like of course we do, right? It's just like a part of being human. So yeah, and I think it's so cool when you say like you aren't afraid to look stupid or get bucked off because that is something like I think especially is when we're riding and everything and when you're in the horse world, it is like a thing where you're always thinking about you know, and the bronc riding I think is just so cool. I'm like sitting here being like, should I try this? Because like after I interviewed Brittany, I was like, this just sounds like so cool. But over here being like, first of all, I feel super old for it. Second of all, like I don't even know. So for somebody who's like interested in it, and I feel like a lot of the times it's funny because I'll talk to friends and be like, I just interviewed the most amazing people. And it's like selfishly, like I interviewed these people because I just like want to ask some questions for myself, but obviously for listeners too. But yeah, okay. I just threw in like a million questions in one. But yeah, I love how you just touched on like the confidence and how it made you a better rider too. So for somebody that's interested in it, what would you kind of say to them?
Definitely. Okay, so first I started at 32. So okay. I'm 33. So and I called my brother and was talking about this and he's kind of funny. He's like, do it now. It's about to go downhill. He's 2 years old. Do it now. He's like, make sure you work out. I'm like, okay, I will. Yeah, it like give it a shot. If you, like you said, the physical stuff is easier. If and I think everyone who does it, whether it's Alyssa Sperrings or Brittany Miller, they're cautious about saying, yeah, just go get on and do it because there are people out there who are prone to injury, but they probably have been all their life. Like, you ask them to go snowboarding or ice skating and they instantly fall and crack an elbow and hurt themselves. If you know how to tuck and roll, if you're a strong athletic person, I'd say don't hesitate to give it a shot. It's so much. And go to one of Brittany's clinics because she literally from head to toe, actually she goes toe to head because she'll go over your boots, she'll go over your socks, baby powder in your boots. She doesn't miss anything. It's almost like she's got a curriculum and that girl should probably write a book. And people will say, don't go to this person, go to that person, this. And they essentially all say the same stuff. But I really like how Brittany focuses on shoot procedure and safety.
Yeah, that's great.
Help you a lot. And then from there, now I go to everybody and I go to every school I can and I try to learn from anybody I can. So I just say give it a shot, look her up. She's on fire right now. The other ones I went to is the Real Deal Ranch Bronc School with TJ and Justin in Nebraska. That was a good one. I go to schools in Poplar. I go to the WRBC schools. And then there's practice pens here. Pat and Katie Heminger have been super helpful. When you go to a practice pen, it's almost like, oh yeah, and then Bailey Bench is from Ennis, so he's there. And just having those experienced people kind of be like, watch you and give you a hint or two is super helpful.
Yeah.
So then after you give it a try, just come to Montana or on the Bozeman area for a little while. You can go to the West Yellowstone Rodeo, the Bozeman Rodeo, the Big Sky Rodeo, all within a week, because I was pretty spoiled in this location where I could get on a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Is this something that you want to? Oh, no, sorry. Go ahead.
I was like, maybe that's too much. I'm like, and this is how you ride 5 Broncs a week. No, but just shot first.
Yeah, no, that's great. Is this something that you would, that you want to continue doing? Like, is this a goal of yours to kind of continue having this a part of your life as you're, working on the horse training part of it and going back to North Dakota?
I'm like scared to say it out loud, but I'm like, yes, like absolutely.
No, it's awesome.
I got some goals for it. And I just love it. And it's brought so much opportunity into my life and confidence into my life. You know how when you try really hard for something, like me trying to get into the ski industry for a while, I just kept hitting a wall. It just didn't seem to be going smoothly. Maybe it wasn't the right fit. I don't know. But like when I tried bronc riding, it just seems like the ball's rolling and things keep happening and things keep doing, like opportunities keep popping up for me. So why wouldn't I keep continuing to do this? And I'm addicted to it and I love it. And I do. Yeah. So probably long answer there, but I want to continue doing it as long as I can.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And yeah, I mean, just if doors are opening for you and it's kind of feeling like not easy, but it's kind of feeling like flowing, then obviously you're in the right spot, you're doing something that's working. So yeah, that's so cool. Very cool. Okay. So I would love for you to kind of talk to us a little bit too about when I had first reached out to you. I was looking at your Instagram page, and then you had mentioned a post that I was like, oh my gosh, this like totally resonates too. So speaking of kind of like getting a late start, and I've shared this on my podcast as well. I have this like insecurity that I have talked about a few times and I still bring it up. I was talking to my friend the other day about it, and I kind of said it in passing, and she's like, stop saying that. Like, it just stopped, because I was like, well, I didn't grow up doing this, and I got like kind of a later start in it, quote unquote. So one of your posts really resonated with me, and I just kind of love for you to share for people who, whether they did have a little bit of a background in it or not. And I didn't grow up in a ranching family. I mean, I rode horses a little bit at my dad's friend's house. He had horses and they competed, they would go to the World Show in, Ohio and stuff like that a lot, but didn't really grow up doing it a whole lot. And then also had a corporate career, worked in marketing and events and things like that. And then I've kind of always had horses in my life, whether it was just taking lessons or working at different places, in my free time, but really wanted, to get back into it. Kind of had a moment where I was like, I want to do this. And that's what led me to, the horse training part of it, and then going to work on different ranches and things like that. So, but kind of came into it in my 30s, and that's kind of late. If we're talking late, whether or not it is or isn't, but loved your post about it. And could you kind of just talk a little bit about that, like what that has been like for you too, and even any advice that you would give people who are kind of feeling like that, or might be sitting at home and not really doing anything about it and kind of feeling intimidated because of that reason? Well, I'm too old to start riding horses, or, going to a ranch where I have no idea how to even like drive a tractor or something. Yeah, could you kind of just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I would, I have a lot of friends who weren't born into it, as, I keep seeing that phrase, born into it. And I think about it a lot, probably more than I should, but I should just focus on what I'm doing. But how I should talk to these people, because I know I come from a very privileged position, sharing a passion with your parents when you're both have kind of the same goals. Like my mom has her business and I'm doing my thing. And what I mean by business, like not none of my business, but like she literally has her business that she's running. Um, that's a huge privilege, because while I'd never learned how to put like a sliding stop on a horse, she, was talking about these legacy horses, Peppy Sam Badger. So I got that foundation. And I know I'm pretty fortunate to have that. But I think for everybody, you gotta be ready to make a sacrifice. I think everyone has their own set of privileges and everyone has their own set of setbacks. I think finance is probably number one, but I think everyone's life is gonna be a little bit like a roller coaster. You're gonna feel good, you're gonna feel like you're on trajectory, and then you're gonna have the lulls and the moments. It's gonna be up and down. And I think I sat in my head too much reading books. So don't do that too much. But I would say listen to your podcast, like the guests you have on, and listening to other people's stories. And hopefully, like the guests on your podcast are being open and authentic. And they're not just showing the highlights, but they're saying, because I want to know when I'm talking to someone how they did it. I want to know, like, okay, when you moved to Bozeman, how did you pay for that place? And then how did you pay for boarding? And like, what did you do? It's, it's not like, oh, this kid from the farm moved out to Bozeman and then she has a horse and it all looks good. And it is all good. But like, no, what did you do? I'm like, I drove for Uber. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, how do you do that? I want people to ask, like, if you see someone who has something you want, ask them how they did it. And they're probably going to be really happy to share it with you. And maybe they waitress in the evening. Maybe they do a side gig. Maybe they board their horse, but they only get to ride it once a month. Do you want that? Like stuff like that. Dig in. Listen to your podcast. You're not alone in the feelings. For sure. But I think the best thing about social media is the connections we have. So, and I would say most people are really going to be excited to share their experience with you and how they got there. There might be a lot of unique situations that I can't give advice for, but there's going to be someone out there that probably can help you out. And don't be scared to put yourself out there. Do as I say, not as I do. I think for a while there, I was too scared. Like I respect Gary so much. So I went out to his place and got on a horse. And if I were to do that 2 years ago, I would have been shaking because he's watching me. Well, he wasn't really watching me. He obviously had his eye on me, but I'm riding his horse. And I'm way more confident now than I would have been 2 years ago. I probably would have been too scared to ask that horse to do anything because I didn't want to do it wrong.
Yeah.
So don't be scared to look stupid, probably. And it's like, I had a vision board during college, after college. I put some things on there. Some of them I thought I would never do. And now I'm looking at those old pictures in my old bedroom and I'm like, I did some of that. And I remember thinking it would never happen, ever. I thought it was a pipe dream. So realizing that, don't put stuff on a pedestal too much. Like it is attainable. Just like believe in yourself that, yes, you can get that. You can work on a ranch and maybe one day you will be like, let's say you're in a city and you've never been on a horse before. You want to start colts in Montana. Like, how do you get there? I would say just keep picking, keep looking. You got social media, you got this podcast, write down the names you hear. I do a lot of that. Like I'll listen to a podcast and write down the name of a person I want to look up and look into, and I'll email them. So I've done some of that. And then, that's how I found Gary. I just kept writing down names and I kept looking into this horse trainer. And then I went to this clinic and then I found this person and then I found Gary and then got to meet him. And then I went and applied for him, whatever. Just believe you can do it and then go for it. Even if you're and like, I know what it's like to want it and it hurts. Like, right? You've probably been there where you're in the office, and my marketing jobs were so awesome, but like I'm sitting there and it hurts and I'm like, how do I do this? How am I going to get there? And it stinks for a long time, like maybe 10 years, right? You're like,
Yeah.
I mean, just keep your toe in the community, pay your bills, do what you got to do, but don't give up on it probably, and get yourself ready for when that opportunity is going to pop up.
Yeah.
Like be ready for it, because it's probably going to just all of a sudden happen.
Yeah.
So I guess,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's
no, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like preparing yourself. Cause you're totally right. I almost just started tearing up a little bit when you're talking, because
Me too.
it's like,
yeah.
No, but it's so true. And especially like, I think, and you understand this obviously, and anybody that has been around horses and cows and had done this, like, so, and I just left my position in, my position in Colorado ended. So I'm back at home now in New Hampshire and not around a whole lot of horse stuff and cows. And like, I totally get the feeling when I'm driving by like a farm or a ranch, or like, they don't have ranches out here in New Hampshire, but it's farms. And their horses, or I see some cows, like it physically hurts my heart, because it's like, you're not around it. And for anybody that knows, and what I'm talking about, it's tough, but sometimes you just, and I'm trying to get myself in the mode of like, just like you said, like the preparation time and like preparing myself for the next thing. And sometimes like we're just going to have to do that for a little while, and it's not always going to be fun. And even like what you're saying too, making it work however you can, like this industry is really tough in a way that like there's no set like path, right? In the corporate world, we go to college, we get a degree, we get hired at an entry level position, then you work your way up the corporate ladder, right? And as much as that made me absolutely miserable, because I just am not a 9 to 5 office person ever, there's some comfort in it, because there's like, okay, this is what I have to do, and I'm gonna work here, and then I'm gonna get promoted, and then I'm eventually gonna there's like a very set, clear path, right? That you don't have to do much like creative stuff around it, in terms of like trying to carve your own path. And for this world, you kind of do. And there's so many different things that you can do in the Western world, in the ranching world, but like there's no clear path. So you have to get creative. You have to do what you have to do. Like you said, like I've worked, oh my gosh, I don't even know, 6 or 7 different jobs in the last like 4 or 5 years to like make ends meet and do things that I had to do. And to make it work, because as you know, like you get hired at a ranch and you don't get paid a whole lot. So, and it's definitely, then you think, and it can be discouraging, like if I keep doing this, how am I ever going to even have a place of my own someday? And especially now, as we all know, the land prices and the way things are can be discouraging in itself. So I love that you have that, just that mindset of like, sometimes we do need to make sacrifice, because I need to remind myself of this all the time, because we can so easily, and I've fallen into it too, victim sad mentality, where somebody had posted that they were had leased land and had started a business off leased land, but talking about how hard it really is and how discouraging it is, even that they are in a position where there's a lot of people looking for leased land, that's kind of, if you don't own property right now, leasing is one option, but how scarce they can be and how hard it can be. And then
I hope people listen to this one. No, that's so good to hear. Whether you're born into it or not, like hearing someone's challenge, okay, where they are now, you're like, wow, that's admirable. How'd they get there? And then you hear about like how much they went through or how it hurts or whatever. It's like, okay, well, I'm in that stage right now, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
And celebrating all the small wins too, probably is a good one.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And even just like, because your story is really cool. Like you've made connections. And one of the things that a friend of mine is really pushing me to is like, ask for help. Like make your connections and don't be afraid to ask people for help, because I'm always like, no, like I don't want to bother them or don't really know them that well enough yet. And then I have this thought, I'm like, okay, anybody comes to me for help, I'm like, oh my God, I would love to help you. Like, yes, you know?
Right?
So it's the
Exactly.
same thing. Like we got to start thinking about that with people too, because, and especially as you know, the people that I've met in the Western world, for the most part, the majority are like such great, good, down to earth people, you know? And um I think that's important to remember too. And just being creative, like do what you got to do and we got to figure it out and don't give up. Yeah, because like, there will be a way. And if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way, you know?
Yep. I think that, you know, I don't like when people say, and not you, but I definitely have some friends that have fallen into the victim mentality. Well, I don't get respect, so I'm not born into it. I'm like, but so and so gave you an opportunity when you were super green and welcomed you in with open arms. And you don't need a 4-year degree, a $50,000 degree to be a part of this.
Mhm.
Think
Yeah.
of the positives. And like some of the old timers are more than welcome to help, like happy to take on a green person because they're like, sweet, I can train them how I want to, like a cult. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
true.
that's really welcoming at the end of the day, you
Yeah.
know. It's just everyone wants it and it's a grind. It's a bit competitive.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but love it.
Yeah. I know. It's definitely like the I could go off on all of that too, of just like the things that it can teach you. And I mean, there's a reason why people love it and do it and don't get paid a whole lot. Like this isn't an industry you'd get into to be like, oh, I'm gonna become rich off of this, you know?
Yeah.
So there's a reason for it. But you know, I think that I really do feel like there's a lot of things out there now too that are starting to change, like the different mentalities of like, how can we make this profitable? Getting creative, you know, agritourism stuff on your ranch, or, you know, other marketing things, or whatever. So I know I am determined to make a profitable business in some way, because of in this world I've had way too many people say like you can't make any money farming, you can't make any money ranching. I'm like, I am not willing to accept that.
Oh, no, you can't. I like ask somebody's. I know you can't really dig into people's books. It's kind of rude to ask them, but like maybe I want a podcast where people are sharing their books.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like
totally.
and there is a funny quote. I mean, now it's a meme, but even before social media, people were saying behind every farmer or rancher, depending on what part of the country you live in, is a wife with a job who has a job
Yeah.
in town.
Yeah, right.
It's always going to be a hustle. Or hopefully to now is maybe a partner with a podcast and a brand deal or something, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
You got
exactly.
to have a lot of irons in the fire. And I think if you listen to old farmers, they're going to tell you to diversify, whether it's crops and corn, but also have some pigs and cows. Maybe today it's going to look like, yeah, have your horse business, but make sure you're posting on social media and try and get some brand deals and, you know, have a lot of irons in the fire. So maybe that's what stuff's going to look like going forward. But
Yeah, no, totally. And I mean, you talk to any like really wealthy person, you know, they probably they started off with that one thing that really they built, but they have all of these different diversified and passive, you know, income streams or income streams. I think you know, if we listen to some anybody that's done really well, the you know, the biggest people that we know, they've diversified too. So we can apply that, you know, to agriculture. I wanted to also ask you to, I loved how you talked about like how like okay, well how did they do it? Because I listen to a ton of podcasts, and I'm always obviously listening to the ones that are like people that kind of built up from nothing. I especially love the ones that are like how like tell me how you did it. Okay, yes, you went and you like leased this property. Okay, how did you pay for it? Like can you tell me like maybe a little bit like how you made that connection? Or I love to get into the nitty-gritty details and things. So, one question that I wanted to ask you, if you don't mind sharing, is for, you know, your connection with Gary Cooper and kind of just going back, putting yourself out there and asking for help and things. How did you make that connection? You knew you wanted to kind of do horse training, right? So, at this point in your life, and could you tell us a little bit about how you did that? I mean, you went to his clinic and everything, but just give us a little bit
yeah,
of a
I would say this is probably people recognize this path. It was me on the computer or phone, whatever I was, trying to find opportunities. And you've probably heard of Art of the Cowgirl, book fellowship. So that's actually, I applied last year for the fellowship, and that was the first time I ever had the guts to actually submit it. And I submitted it like 1 minute before the closing period.
Nice.
I know, and then I was an alternate, but that's okay.
Hey, you did it. That's amazing.
Yeah, the fellowship was Barbara Schulte, which if you're into cutting or just skill building in general, the way she teaches is phenomenal. She's awesome. When I looked into her a little bit, I was making some connections. Like she follows Daniel Coyle, who wrote the Little Book of Talent, which is definitely a book I recommend reading. I've actually gifted it to like everybody I know. I should send you one, but
cool. Little Book of Talent.
That was recommended to me by a cutting horse trainer here in town. Mike Hoffman, who's awesome. He's one who I had to reach out and ask for help. And like, I kind of bugged him until he helped me. Not that I should advertise that because I don't want people harassed, but I did. And then super nice guy. He told me about Daniel Coyle. I saw Barbara Schulte use Daniel Coyle. I got hooked on Barbara Schulte. She does an online masterclass, which I took about cutting because I didn't know anything about cutting. And so that was a good foundation. And then Gary was in that online class, and he's probably, I shouldn't speak, but stood out as one of the most experienced people. I'm like, who is this guy? So I was looking him up, super successful, rein cow horse trainer, reiner. And then when Barb came to Bozeman to do her clinic, which I was just super fortunate to have it in Bozeman next door, he was in that too. So he got to watch me ride and, see me learn and how I would behave for 3 days. So he had a hunch of who I was. The part where it's super privileged, which I don't know, is that most people don't have access to, is this is when my mom sold the cows and bought a cutting horse mare. So I had that resource where I think I flew home, picked up a truck in the trailer I bought or that I had after college that's been sitting on my parents forever, drove that horse to Bozeman, boarded it for a little while, and was able to enter that clinic, which is where most people in their 20s aren't going to be able to do that. I think like the cutting clinic was like around $1,000. Don't quote me on that, but that's expensive. And then having a truck and trailer and all that stuff, ridiculous. I did have a friend though in town offer to help me out with it. So if someone wants to do something like that, you would probably have to reach out to a cutting horse barn, work from them a little while to earn their trust, and then maybe they'll let you get on a horse and enter a clinic. But that's how I met Gary. And when I saw he had posted a job opportunity for this winter, I just got on it. I was like, I was going to wait to find a job for the spring and stay in Bozeman for the winter. But when he posted that job, I got right on it. He actually didn't pick me right away. He picked another girl from New York. And then later I got a phone call that said she wasn't going to make it. Would you like to work for me? I was like, yes.
Nice. That's amazing.
Don't get discouraged, because even when you don't have the opportunity, it may pop back up. But
yeah.
So yeah, if you wanted to get a little bit, cutting's really expensive. And that class was full of people probably 40 or older. I was the youngest one. So
yeah,
it is an expensive one. That was very much a privileged position I had. Not the same as bronc riding where you can just hop in and go.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And anybody in their 20s, I should say, it gets easier. Yeah. Paying the bills gets a little easier. You start to build. So I don't want that to discourage people, but
yeah.
No.
And I mean, and it's important to remember too, that like everybody has, their own path. You had the option to, bring a horse. I think that there's just so many different ways that you can get into it. And And like you said, even if you're like the bare bones, bare minimum, like don't have anything, yeah, maybe you're not going to make that clinic this year, but if you find a cutting horse barn and you go work there even for 6, 7 months and like really prove yourself, and then maybe you can enter that clinic the next year, and who knows what doors could open then, so yeah, I think that it's important to remember that, everybody just kind of has a different way of getting into it. And in some ways, like, can be challenging, and then other ways it's cool too, because you can kind of be creative. There isn't like a set way that you have to do to make sure that you go in it. Like,
and I should say, I've been to barns where there's like a group of college boys there from Miles City, and they're cleaning stalls all day to do one lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's stuff like that too. And I just keep saying yes to every opportunity, because even that one lesson, you can write that in a resume. And
yeah, just give us a little wrap up too. Kind of just tell us like a little bit about from now, your move, and then what you're kind of looking to for future and long term.
Sure. So super, like a little stressed out. I'm gonna get that place rented. It's gonna be bare bones for a little while, but the education, it probably is gonna be worth it. I'm gonna work for Gary through the winter with the option to hopefully keep working for the summer if we see how the winter goes. Cool. And from there, bronc riding kicks up in the summer, and I have goals there. So I'm not sure yet. But for now, I'm really excited to go be in a cabin, read horsemanship books, really focus on that.
Yeah.
And do the New Year's Eve women's bronc ride. It's an important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do that. And yeah, maybe when things settle down and I got a little less on my plate, I'll be able to focus about what I really want this summer, whether it's continuing horsemanship or bronc riding. I think it's probably going to be, we'll see.
Yeah. No, that's incredible.
I have to probably choose a path that is going to be really hard. But.
Yeah. You've done quite a bit to get yourself to where you're at now. So that's important to remember too. You've clearly done a lot of work and you've put the time in and everything. So that's awesome. I'd love to just kind of ask people to share, one or two, whether it's a book, an article, podcast, whatever, that's kind of made like an impact on your life. And it could be for business, it could be horsemanship, or even just life in general.
Oh, sure. Listen to this podcast now.
Thank you.
Sure. It's true though.
I appreciate that.
This is going to be a good one. I hope you blow up. Let's see. I want to say The Little Book of Talent by Daniel Coyle. It's an easy read. I give that one out to everybody. Most of it you're going to probably already know, but there's going to be some other stuff. I love that book. I know trainers that read that book, and it's going to help you, whether it's in sports or shoveling snow off the sidewalk, whatever. But that's a good one. A podcast that I don't know how popular it is one time I was feeling discouraged at my office job, and not to drop an F-bomb, I'll just say, how the fudge do you save for a house? I Googled that. Mm-hmm. And I found this podcast called Listen, Money Matters. And that's the type of language they use. They weren't like foul or anything. It's a clean podcast. But they were just very down-to-earth discussions about how the hell do I do this?
Yeah.
They're very clear. It might be a little dated now. It was like, I don't think they turned out an episode since before COVID, but that was a really good financial one that was down to earth about how you do this stuff, because it's all really hard, especially with cost of living crisis stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Cool. Do you mind? I actually just want to ask you one more. Do you have another couple minutes?
Oh yeah, I got time.
Okay.
Those boxes can wait. Perfect.
You seem to have like a really good mindset around finance and money. Is that something that you were brought up with, or did you kind of learn it as you go? Because obviously everything that we're talking about, especially in the industry we're at, like, things cost money. And whether we're talking about having a truck or trailer or a horse or whatever. So, but you seem to kind of have a really good focus on it and mindset around it. So could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I think it's a it's a tool, right? You shouldn't like idolize money, but like I focus a lot on it because it is an excellent tool. My mom definitely talked about money growing up. I mean, they raised cattle and stuff like that and was working, so discussions were in the house. And then um yeah, as I grew up or got out of college or in college, even kind of struggling to pay bills, I'm like, I got to figure this out. Like, how do you do this? Like, how do you not live paycheck to paycheck? So, reading books and things like that. I work in a spreadsheet. So like when I got this job with Gary and he told me the salary, which I kind of forgot what it was, but I put it in a spreadsheet and put my bills next to that. And I was like, okay, well, how can I make this work? I always do that kind of stuff. And then
Yeah.
Uber during the Cats Grizz game to kind of bump that number up a little bit.
Nice.
So, I mean, don't be ashamed of like making some extra cash. That was a good night. Hey, um, yeah, so I didn't grow up. My mom talked about it a little bit, but then I kind of took that and just kept going with it. I have a book on this shelf that's called, what's it called? Farming Without the Bank or something that I want to read. So anything. I think
Cool.
your finances under control is huge. And I know a lot of people don't like it. I'm a dork that kind of likes math, so I enjoy it. It's kind of like gamifying it to me.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think it's super important. And
Yeah.
you're gonna look at numbers and be like 30, maybe you're in your 20s and you're like, wow, 30 extra bucks every month. That's scary. And I don't know how to make it better, but it gets better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Educated and more experienced, people will be willing to pay you more. And yeah, it just gets
Right.
better.
I just think the majority of people, like, we really don't know like how to manage money, the general population. And yeah, like there are a ton of people that, living paycheck to paycheck is just kind of like a normal way of living. And I know for me, like I've been really trying to listen to more finance podcasts and reading more finance books and things like that because it is so important, especially as we get older, like our financial well-being is important. And, when I went to the Ranching for Profit school last year, and that they are really good about like, okay, put all of your numbers, whether you own a place or not. And it's definitely more helpful for sure if you own a place, but because you actually have numbers that you can work through. But we were able to go through different examples and things. But I feel like that was a really good way to like look at, okay, down to like the penny, how you manage things. And so I just think it's super important to also have that conversation too, because I feel like we tend to, just as society, skirt away from talking about money, whatever it is, whatever we're talking about. And especially what we're doing, money is a very important factor. So I'm really trying to kind of ask people more about that and to share like, how they've become better with it because it can be like really intimidating and you don't really want to look at the bank account. You don't want to look at the bills, you kind of shy away from it a little bit. So thank you for sharing all that with us.
Yeah, of course. It's an important one,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the last thing that I like to ask people, I always ask this question, and you can take it like in any direction that you want. But I was asked this question a while ago, and it's always kind of stuck with me. So I just like to share it with people. What do you know for sure?
Oh, that's right. You put that in email, and I had one. I should have wrote it down. What do I know for sure? I want to end like anyone because we talked a lot about being discouraged. I would say not just like believing you can do it, like easier said than done, but like once you feel like, oh, I can do that. Now, how do I do it? Like it changes everything. Like I would say something like that. Believing in yourself is probably the hardest part, and then getting there is fun. So if you're feeling down and like it feels like a pipe dream, it's never going to happen, it's really hard. But once you like have a representation or um you see it's achievable, it gets a lot easier. So try to do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Really cool. Okay, well, thank you so much, Halee. I mean, if there's anything else you want to share with us, please do. But I really appreciate your time and for everything that you talked about and just for sharing all the things and being honest about stuff and really just giving us like a really good glimpse into things and all that you've done. So I really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you again. And I know everybody's going to really enjoy the conversation. So thanks again for being here.
You bet.
All right. Take care.